All right, Armstrong numbers. I'm going to fork this over to my GitHub. I've already forked it. It's right here. I'm going to git clone it. Let's go down, open up VS Code. Here we go. Oh. So I'm down here in my desktop in Lima challenges. I'm going to git clone Armstrong numbers right there. Does anybody have a preference of what language I do it in? Does anybody want to see?
I prefer JavaScript if possible.
Or JavaScript and Python. Or JavaScript first. How about I'll do it in JavaScript first and translate it over to Python. Yeah, I'll do that. All right. See, I'm going to CD into Armstrong numbers, ls, CD into JavaScript. I'm going to clear it. So in the JavaScript file or directory, there's Armstrong numbers and Armstrong numbers spec file. So the first thing I want to do is let's set up some unit tests. So we'll just create, so I see this, we have create array of num max value. What does this do? Does this create the array? I'm going to run this. Where does create array come from? Oh yeah, so it looks like create array takes in an input and it returns. Doesn't that just return an array of how the max value, like index 0 through whatever value? I think that's what it does. All right, so let's write some unit tests. So we're using jest for a unit test in JavaScript. So the first thing I need to do is initialize a new npm package by doing npm init. I want to see, is it npm init-y? Cool. So npm init-y literally creates the package.json file, and it defaults all the questions to the default. So if I look here, the package.json file is already created. I rarely ever default it to y. So if I delete this, let's see if I delete it. And then clear it and just do npm init. I usually go through this questionnaire arm numbers, and then I usually, oh yep, so there Armstrong, is it underscore numbers? Does that work? Yep, okay. So pretty much the same thing. If you just do npm init space dash yes, it defaults everything to the yes, or the default answers to the questions. So I've got my package.json file. Next, I need an npm install dash save dash dev, because we can save it as a dev dependency. We don't necessarily need to save it as a dev dependency, but we just because the tutorial tells me to, I'm going to do that. Just so it's installing, and I'm going to see a dev dependency show up down here. And what kind of tests do I want to write? So I've got these default ones that they have, but let's come up with some of our own. Is this max value? Whoop, okay. So 0 vulnerabilities. There's my jest. I'm going to change the spec file to that dot test, just for dot test. I'm going to change that script to include just test jest. Clear. And now if I want to just test it, npm test. Let's see what happens. All right. Watchman. Armstrong numbers. So one failed. Yeah. Okay. Don't need that. So I'm just gonna delete. I'm gonna delete. Hold on, I'm gonna convert these to unit tests. I like. Yeah, this is fine. I'm going to change this Armstrong numbers. I'm going to change the way it's exported just so I can import Armstrong numbers. Armstrong numbers. And then so I don't need this .arm anymore. So the first test, I need to do test, takes in a string. So it should say Armstrong numbers. What's like the first thing? First, I want to be able to test that it returns an array. So test returns an array. And then, so it's going to be expect. How do I figure out the type of a specific data type that something returns? Or how do I determine the type of space? Then it's going to be find Armstrong numbers, which is the function of, I guess I can just use this thing, this helper, this is like a helper function. Helper function. I can just do like anything. 8. Let's do 8 right now. And then comma. Dot 2b. What kind of a data type is an array? What does it show up on the screen? Let's figure this out. So if I execute this, I'm going to comment everything out and just do like let array equals empty list or empty array. I can do console log type of array. Let's see what that looks like. Oh. And I'm going to actually run this file. If it runs, let's see if it actually runs. Node armstrong.test. So it actually shows up as an object. And an array, the type of array shows up as an object. Everything's an object in JavaScript. So this test to be object. All right, that's the first one. And let's just kind of convert this one. So I can do expects Armstrong numbers to equal this. And then we can do, instead of type of, it will equal that. It's kind of, everyone kind of see what I'm doing right now? And then finally, let's do this last one. Instead of, let's do 999. 999 to equal this array. 999 to equal that. And now if I do npm test, let's see if I get everything back. I'm going to change this exports So there'd be const, and I want to use an anonymous or an arrow function. Module.exports equals find Armstrong numbers. Now if I run npm test, I should get 3 failed. Cool. That's exactly what I want to see. All right. Now,
Tom, let's
Yep.
go real quick. So if I wanted to, I'm trying to figure out, so type of, is that coming out of, JavaScript? Not native.
yep. No, yeah, it's like a built-in.
Okay. So if I wanted to say is array,
So if you wanted to actually officially make it an array, so an array shows up as an object when you do the type of.
right? But
Yeah.
I'm saying if I wanted to drill down in that and say is array or use the method, right? The built-in array is array method.
Oh. Let's see. I don't. So instead of using type of, using like is array.
Yeah. Steve and I are hacking away on just getting the code solved. So we haven't gotten to the test piece of it. So
Okay. No, that's fine.
we're
So the is array method determines whether an object is an array. So let's see what this looks like. I'm gonna, cause I like never have used this before. Is array function. So array is array. I just want to see how it works. Array.isArray fruits, which is a cool. So I just want to, yeah, let's see what this is.
it's as simple as saying array is array instead
Oh,
of
and it just
type
true.
of. So I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, true. It just returns a Boolean.
Yep. Cool. I like that. So it'd be what? Array dot, oh man, dot is array. Then it would be
Create array.
like this part. So we're passing in this entire.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, I don't
Yep.
know.
No, yeah. And then that should be true. So we can actually just return there. So we should expect these two to test or to pass right away.
Cool. Thanks.
So I'm going to clear it.
Tom, I actually had another question for, for module.exports, I saw that before it was exports dot the name of the function. Did you have to do that change?
No, I didn't have to. I just like to keep kind of everything separate. And if I wanted to run this file alone, so if I just had exports dot this part, and if I just wanted to run this, like find Armstrong, I don't think it'll work. Node. So it says like find Armstrong numbers is not defined.
Okay.
All right. So clear. I want to look at that test again because they didn't test is what find Armstrong numbers. Array is array. So what is create array of num is not defined. Oh, duh. Let's see if this works now. Okay, yeah, 2 passed. Cool. So yeah, that's probably, this second test is probably more applicable to what we actually want than just this type of. But we can test them both. Just get used to writing unit tests. So now, find Armstrong numbers. Let's go ahead and try to solve Armstrong numbers. Let's look at what it is. Armstrong numbers. So Armstrong number is an n-digit number that is equal to the sum of the nth power of its digits. Okay, so 371 has 3 digits, so we take each number in 371 and put that to the power of the 3, because that's the length of 3, and then add them together. And that's when that is the same as the actual input number, then it's an Armstrong number. Cool. This one I think it's kind of fun just because you have to like manipulate data types. You have to like convert integers back to strings and things like that. So what does it say? Write a program in Python and JavaScript to find all Armstrong numbers in the range of 0 through 99 or 100 or 999. And it looks like we want to return an array of all the Armstrong numbers. So let's split that again. If I double click that. So the first thing I want to do is have an answer array. So I'll let answer and have it be just an empty array or empty list. So that's what I'll push the Armstrong number into. The number array. So this is going to be an array of integers from 0 to 999. Okay. I wanted to test that. Well, we'll get there. So there's a couple ways I can do this. So I can loop through the array. So yeah, let's first loop through the array. And then grab each array. And then we have to, what do we have to do? We have to first determine the length of that integer, like the actual length of it. So in order to determine the length of it, we have to turn it into a string because you can't just take the length of a number. So if I wanted a console log like 7.length, is that how it is? Or like let num equals like 371. We'll use 371, and then num.length. Do I have to invoke length, or is it already automatically? Let's run that. Node Armstrong numbers JS. Num length is not a function. Undefined. Clear. So if this was an actual string, I can get 3. So right here we have an array of integers. So the first thing I need to do is I can loop through that array. My default, I'm just going to use a for loop. Let I equals 0. I is less than num array dot length and I plus plus. So I'm going to loop through there. I'm going to grab, how do I do that? So I have to, so I'm just going to console log, what is it? Num array at I, num array at I, just to ensure that I'm actually outputting all of the.
You didn't convert it yet.
Right, yeah. I just want to, so I'm going to delete that. I'm going to run some find Armstrong numbers. Oh, I'm just going to throw in some 1, 2, 3, 4, and 370, 371, 372. I'll use that as like a test for right now. I'm going to note it. I just want to make sure I'm printing everything out. So the first thing I need to do is grab the length of that, and that will be the exponent for that I actually, that'll be the exponent that I need to do the power of to each individual integer. Exponent equals, so how do I turn that into a string? So I can do, how do I, is there a built-in method that I can convert something like a number to a string?
Two-string.
To string? So do I, is it like to string dot num array at I? Is that it? Nope. I see people, nope.
Should be num array dot toString parentheses.
Awesome. Thank you. So dot to string. So I'm gonna come.
That's gonna
Let's just.
oh yeah, because you're taking a single element. Okay.
Cool. So there I've got the number version of it, and now I have the string version of it. Cool. But I need to get the length, so I can just do dot length. And now I can come console log the length, or I'm sorry, exponent. And there we go. We have, once we get to 370, the exponent is 3, 371, the exponent is 3. Cool. Now, let's, now I need to hold the sum. Let's say like have a variable that stores the sum, let sum equals, let's start at 0. And so when it goes in this for loop, it's going to grab each individual element in this array. And I need to bring it to the power of this exponent and add it to this sum. And then once it loops through, and then I have to, so the first thing I have to do, I got this 370, right? And then I need to grab the very first integer. Right? Yeah, I need to grab the very first integer. Well, so then I actually have to loop through this again and raise it to the power. Okay. So the temporary.
You can use the exponent as the stopping value in your loop.
Oh. So I can do like while x, well, here's the way I did it. I did while, what did I do it again? Hold on. Oh, I had a temporary number. I had like a temp number, which was this specific number. And well, temp number was greater than 0. So this is the actual number I'm at, like 370, 371, 372. Well, it's greater than 0, I'm going to grab, so if I do like 371 modulus, so let digit equals temp number modulus 10. What is that going to give me?
The last number.
Yep, it's going to give me the last number here. So last number, like that number or that number. So like 372 divide modulus 10, the remainder is 2. So now I can take that number and raise it to the exponent, add that to the sum, and then reassign this temp number to this
The floor
this
of the
number.
division.
Correct. Take this number divided by 10, which would then be 37.2, and round that down, and that's that new temp number. All right.
If you convert the entire element, so if it's 370, if you convert it to a string, you can iterate through it.
Yeah, instead
Yeah,
of
and
a
then
while loop.
Oh yeah, and then I can just
So you don't
convert
have
it back.
and all that stuff.
Yeah. So if I
Yeah, that-
convert it, sorry, continue.
Sorry about that. I'd say if you're going to do that, you could use the for loop, and you could use the exponent as the stopping value in your index for that for loop. Once you have the 3-digit or 2-digit number converted into a string, you need to use the exponent as the stopping value.
Interesting. Yeah, there's yeah, I like both of those ways. I'm just going to continue this way, and then did you guys make pull requests on those?
Yeah, I think ours is up without the tests, of course.
Nice. Oh no, it's okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep on going this way because this is like where my mind is at right now. So I'm just gonna keep moving forward. So now I need to grab the power of this digit to the power of this exponent. How do I do that in JavaScript? Because I know in Python you do like the double time sign.
Same way.
Is it?
It is now. Yeah. I think that's a ES 15 or 16. I lost track.
Huh. Oh, sweet. This is what I did. I'm gonna just use this built-in function. So if I do math.pow I can do digit exponent, and then the temp number is going to be equal to math.floor, the temp number divided by 10. That's weird. Okay. So it's going to keep doing that while the temp number is greater than 0. Then at the very end, it can return the answer. Right? What if there aren't any? Well, no, and then, so now I actually have to, if sum, well, okay.
You just got to do your comparison.
Yep. Yeah, I have to compare this value. So if num array I equals sum, now I can push that, right? Answer dot push num array dot I. So I have the answer, empty list. This loops through this array. It can be like right now it's this. And so it loops through it, grabs the length. Well, first it turns this number into a string and then grabs that length. That's assigned to an exponent. I have the sum variable here. I have a temporary number, which is the original element in the array at that index. And then while the temporary number is greater than 0, I come in here. I want to grab each individual digit by taking the temp number modulus 10 will give me the specific remainder value or the last digit in this value. Put it to the power of it, add it to the sum, and then reassign the temp value, the temp number to the original element, or the temp number divided by 10, which will give me like 3.0. And then I grab this floor of that, which would then be like 37. So now I have 37 here. Whoop, comes up here while temp number 37 is greater than 0. Temp number modulus 10 is temp number modulus 10 is 7. So that's this digit. Take 7 to the power of 3, add that to my sum, and now I have 37 divided by 10 is 3.7. Grab the floor, which is 3, is now the temp number. Temp number is now 3. 3 is greater than 0, comes into here. Temp number, or temp num modulus 10 is, what is it? It's 3. The digit, 3 to the third, the power of 3. Add that to the sum. Then 3 modulus, or divided by 10 is 0.3. Get the floor. Temp number is 0. Now temp number is no longer greater than 0. Then we check to see if the sum equals that value at that index. If it is, push it into the array, the answer array. After it goes through all of that, then it just returns this answer array. Clear? Does anybody have any questions of how that kind of works? So now I can just run npm test. Hopefully it worked. I'm sure going to get some errors. 2 errors. Where are these errors at? Something changed. Is it to equal? Should be to be or to equal? Let's see what this actually is. Find Armstrong numbers. Do that. I'm going to console log. I think it should be to equal. What the hell? Well, that right. That looks right. So must be something wrong with my test. Let's go just to equal matchers to equal. Let's see if that should be it. To equal. So up here I've got to be. See if this works. There we go. Yeah, I wasn't using the right matcher for this. So let's translate that. Let's translate the this to Python. Whoop. We have Armstrong number spec, Armstrong numbers. So I'm going to go through this fast, probably do a lot of copy pasting. So for unit test, how do I import the unit test library in Python?
Import unit test.
Import unit test. All right. So we can comment that out. And we can do class. So, you know, the way we write unit tests in Python in the unit test library, we need to use classes. Armstrong, is it numbers, test case. Then within this, we need the unit testing library test case. don't sweat too much about specifically like what this syntax is. We're going to get to that later next week. Just notice kind of like the pattern of these specific unit tests. Right, def, test, returns, and array. And here we're going to do self. And then it should say, when you call find Armstrong numbers, you should get an array back. And then we can do self dot assert. See how I'm starting to fill assert. We have assert equals, and then type find Armstrong numbers. How do I create a list? So I can do like list range 1000. That's how you quickly create a list of array that's 1,000 long. Should be a list. So I just want to do that one real quick. ls cd up one level, go into Python. Down here in the Python folder in Armstrong numbers, I've got the spec file and the other Armstrong numbers Python file, which we haven't written any code yet. So I can do Python Armstrong numbers spec. Whoop, def find Armstrong numbers. I need to make this a pass. Back down here in the terminal, I'm clearing it. What happened?
The very end of the test spec, we need to include if name.
Yep.
If name equals main.
Main. And then do unit test dot main and invoke that. Thank you. Don't forget this. A lot of people always generally forget it. Oh, double equals. Clear. So ran one test. So I can do green, Armstrong numbers, spec. So there's the failed one. So I can do return empty list, clear it. So I came up here, just wanted to return an empty list, just so we can pass that first one. Cool, one test ran, one test passed. So I'm going to create, 4 other test specs or 4 other four things. Ooh. Oh, that was bad. So I'm doing like essentially 4 tests under one test spec. Oh. So 2 tests ran, 1 failed. And I'm just going to copy and paste the code in here. So pretty much the same code as JavaScript that's converted for a number in numbers, which is a number array exponent. We grab the length, or first we convert this number on line 4 in the array to a string, and then we grab the length of it. We have the sum, we have a temporary number variable, and the temp is greater than 0. We have a digit variable. We have the temp modulus 10 is the digit at that specific point in the number. Then we do digit x, grab the exponent value, add it to the sum. We do temp, then we grab the floor of it. Then we round down, grab the floor of that, and then reassign the temp variable. And if number equals sum, then we append it. So there, we can clear it. And there we go. So this is the JavaScript or Python version. Oop. Yours can be different. This is just what mine looks like. Does anybody have any questions about unit tests yet? We're going to review it again tomorrow. If nobody has any more questions, I'm going to